My boss denied my promotion, told me, "You're replaceable, so don't get cocky." So I stopped doing anything not in my role. 72 hours later, everything went down hard, and clients started threatening fines for missed uptime. Sup Reddit. So my boss said I was replaceable and denied my promotion. So I stopped doing the 70% of my job that wasn't in my job description and watched the whole operation crash in 72 hours. I, 32 male, work in data center operations for a mid-sized cloud infrastructure company. Been here almost 2 years running change control. Basically, I'm the guy who decides if your production deployment happens or gets blocked because it'll break everything. Then came the meeting. They scheduled the meeting with 24 hours notice. Subject line, role discussion. I knew what that meant. 22 months of work was about to get judged in one conversation. The meeting lasted 11 minutes. I timed it on my phone sitting face up on the table between us. Michelle had this look on her face before I even sat down. That smug corporate smile that said she'd already made her decision, and this was just theater. Same look she'd had for 22 months every time I'd asked about growth opportunities. The polite dismissal. The "we'll circle back" that never circled anywhere. Michelle was a master at making you feel small while maintaining plausible deniability. Never outright cruel. Just death by 1,000 professional paper cuts. She had the rejection letter printed and folded. 2 other managers flanked her like backup singers nobody asked for. Witnesses to what was about to go down. Standard corporate assassination protocol. I'd been running change control operations for 22 months. Not helping. Not assisting. Running the whole thing solo. Every production change approval. Every maintenance window coordination. Every emergency exception from engineering teams across 4 data center regions. Critical infrastructure. Customer databases. Payment processing. Healthcare applications. You screw up, it's not just complaints. It's customer-facing outages and contract penalties. The scale was massive. 4 data center regions. Hundreds of change requests moving through the pipeline every week, each one representing potential downtime, potential revenue loss, potential disaster. The guy before me lasted 6 months before he quit mid-shift, walked out during a Friday evening maintenance window, left his badge on the desk next to a half-eaten sandwich. By Monday morning, I was fielding panicked calls from engineering managers. No handoff. No training. They just wheeled 3 file cabinets of documentation to my desk and said, "Figure it out." The previous guy's filing system was a joke. Random papers shoved into folders with no organization. I spent the first month just organizing what existed. Then I spent the next 6 rebuilding everything from scratch. Created a change approval database that actually worked. Built maintenance window protocols that cut scheduling conflicts by 80%. Wrote the risk assessment frameworks that kept us from turning production into a crater. Set up automated reporting that made executives look smart when they had no idea what they were talking about. The incident reduction in the first year was documented at 67%. Change success rates went from 73% to 96%. Those numbers came from the Executive Operations Dashboard, the same one the VP quoted in quarterly business reviews. My dashboard. The promotion I'd requested wasn't ambitious. It was paperwork acknowledging what I'd been doing since the previous guy bailed. Michelle slid the paper across. Didn't make eye contact. "We've decided not to move forward with your promotion request at this time." I picked it up, scanned the first few lines. Corporate language that said nothing while saying everything. 22 months reduced to not the right fit. "What's missing?" I asked. Voice level, professional. She finally looked at me, made eye contact like she was doing me a favor. "Strategic vision. You handle execution well, but this role requires someone with broader perspective. Someone who can interface with executive leadership effectively. Translation. Someone who looks good in meetings. Someone who speaks the language. Someone who plays golf with the right people. Someone who isn't too busy actually doing the work to schmooze with executives." "I've been doing this role for almost 2 years," I said. "Informally, yes. But that's different from official leadership. The role we're filling requires someone who can represent the department strategically. Someone with presence. Presence. That word landed like a slap. One of the other managers shifted in his seat, uncomfortable. He knew this was garbage. Then Michelle hit me with the line that sealed her fate. "We'll be offering the position to someone with more executive presence. Someone who can make us look better in meetings." She paused. "You'll stay where you are and keep doing what you've been doing. Your technical skills are useful, and we don't want to lose that. This isn't about whether you can do the work. It's about who we want representing us." Like I was a training wheel. A backup generator. I flipped to the last page. "Distribution list. Michelle's boss, HR, a couple directors. This wasn't a discussion. It was a verdict that had already been circulated before I even sat down. So this was never up for debate, I said. This meeting is a courtesy, Michelle said. Cold as January. We need you focused, Michelle continued. You're good at what you do. Let's not overcomplicate it with titles and scope discussions. The Atlas cloud migration is behind schedule. 3 weeks behind. I expect you to pull it together like you always do. I stood up. Slow. Deliberate. I'll follow my job description exactly. She frowned. What does that mean? It means I'll do what I'm paid to do. Nothing more, nothing less. I walked out before she could respond. Forwarded the announcement to my team with zero commentary. Subject line, organizational update. Then I pulled up my official job description. Started highlighting everything I actually did versus what they paid me for. Turned out about 70% of my daily work wasn't technically my job. Wild how that happens. The biggest piece? After-hours emergency approvals. The midnight calls. The weekend exception requests. For 22 months, I'd been the human firewall that never went offline. That was ending today. During my shift, I'd do exactly what my job description said. Outside my shift, completely unavailable. Set my team status to available, business hours only. Updated my email auto-reply for after 5 p.m. I am currently unavailable. For urgent matters, please contact the on-call manager per the escalation matrix. Then sent one email to leadership. Subject, role clarification. Body. Per my job description, I am not designated as on-call support. Effective immediately, I will be available during standard business hours only. Paper trail. Clear boundaries. Professional compliance. I CC'd HR on purpose. Not to be petty, but because HR only respects two things: liability and timestamps. By noon, people started noticing something was different. Messages piled up in the operations channel. Questions about emergency change approvals. Maintenance window conflicts. Access exception requests. I answered exactly none of them. Around 1, someone from infrastructure stopped by. Young kid. Panicked. Hey Chris, did you see the question about the Phoenix data center maintenance window? Not addressed to me, I said. Eyes on my screen. But who should handle it? Check with your manager. He stood there waiting for me to cave. I didn't. At 2:15, Michelle appeared at my desk, standing in that manager way where they want to talk without actually scheduling a meeting. We need to discuss priorities, she said. That passive-aggressive tone she always used. I looked up. My priorities are in my job description. If something's missing, we can discuss adding it formally, with appropriate compensation. Her jaw went tight. The Atlas cloud migration is critical. The customer's losing confidence. Her expression went through confusion to realization to anger in about 3 seconds. Chris, you know how this works. Yeah, I said. I do. That's why I'm sticking to my actual responsibilities. She stared at me for 5 seconds, waiting for me to break. I stared back. She walked away. That was the moment I became dangerous to them. Not because I quit, not because I got loud, because I got quiet, precise, compliant in the most inconvenient way possible. The afternoon was beautiful chaos. A change approval meeting started late because nobody had the risk assessment documents. An engineering team called 4 times and got transferred to 6 different people. A customer email sat unanswered for 3 hours because nobody knew which calendar to check. Small things individually, but together they added up to something nobody had seen in 22 months. Visible incompetence. When I left at exactly 5, people were still scrambling. Conference rooms were full. Phones were ringing. Michelle was in her office on a call, gesturing sharply, face tight with stress. I got home and found every document I'd created, every change policy, every risk matrix, every troubleshooting guide I'd written at 2 a.m. My phone buzzed. Text from my girlfriend Melissa. How'd the meeting go? I stared at the message. Melissa worked in finance for a different company. Smart, ambitious, obsessed with optics and career trajectory. She'd been excited about my promotion, already planning how it would look. Didn't get it, I typed back. 3 dots appeared immediately. What? Why not? Not the right fit, apparently. That's garbage. What are you going to do? I looked at the highlighted job description on my desk. Exactly what they pay me for. Long pause. Then, Chris, you need to be smart about this. Just play the game. Do what they want for a few more months, then ask again. I've been playing the game for 22 months. Then play it better. This is how it works. You're being stubborn. I'm being honest. Honesty doesn't pay our rent. Don't do something stupid. You need that job. I stared at that last message. You need that job. Not, we need stability. Not, let's figure this out together. You need that job. Like I was a problem she was managing. I put the phone down without responding. I set an alarm for 8. Not 7. Not 6:30. 8. Arrived at 8:30 exactly. Several people were already at their desks looking surprised. 31 unread messages from overnight. Started replying only to messages directly addressed to me by name. By 10 a.m., I'd cleared 8 messages. Ignored 23. At 9, a meeting reminder popped up. Change Advisory Board. I'd been running it for 18 months, organizing the agenda, tracking approval decisions, mediating conflicts between engineering teams. This time, I declined. Reason: please confirm meeting owner. Phone rang at 8:53. You coming to Cabby? Not listed as required, but you always run it. Check the invite. I'm not the organizer. Pause. So who runs it? Whoever sent it. They hung up. Meeting started without me. Should have been 30 minutes. Took 50 because nobody knew how to structure it. The new strategic lead sat in meetings taking notes like it was a college lecture. Didn't own a single decision. Every time someone asked, who approves, they looked at Michelle like the answer was in her blazer pocket. At 10:25, a report went out. Weekly change success metrics. Raw data, no formatting, no executive summary, no context, just numbers that meant nothing to anyone who didn't understand the underlying systems. The reply all chain started 11 minutes later. 17 emails by noon. Can someone explain this? Why does it look different? What am I looking at? Nobody answered because I was the one who translated operations into executive language. Not anymore. An infrastructure lead stopped by around 11. Hey Chris, this report's usually cleaner. Process is documented. Operations folder. Reporting subfolder. File called metric standards. Right, but you usually handle it. I used to handle things outside my scope, not owned by my role. He stood there processing that, then walked away. Heard him on his phone 30 seconds later. I need the change control runbook. V3.2. Chris won't touch it. My phone buzzed. Melissa, are you still being dramatic? Just talk to your boss. I read it 3 times. Still being dramatic. Like standing up for myself was theatrics. Like knowing my worth was a phase. I called her. She answered on the second ring. Hey, listen, about yesterday. We're done, I said. Silence. What? You heard me, we're done. I need someone who's got my back, not someone who thinks I'm a problem to manage. Chris, you're overreacting. I'm not. You're worried about how my choices make you look. That's not a partner. So we're done. More silence. Then, you're making a mistake. The mistake was thinking you were in my corner. Pack your stuff from my place. Leave the key. I hung up. My phone buzzed immediately. I'm not giving up on us. Blocked her number. Felt lighter immediately. That lasted about 3 hours. At 2, Michelle sent a message. Need to sync on priorities. I replied, calendar shows me booked until 5. Can schedule tomorrow if needed. She sent a meeting invite. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Subject, expectation alignment. I accepted without comment. Exactly the kind of corporate speak that meant I was about to get a talking to. That afternoon was chaos. An emergency change request sat in limbo. 5 people copied on the email. 0 people willing to own it. A customer email went unanswered for 4 hours, while 3 people debated whose responsibility it was. My phone rang twice after I got home. Michelle, then someone from operations. Sent both to voicemail. After 5, I didn't exist. Made dinner. Watched a movie. Went to bed at 10:30. The system was cracking, and I was sleeping fine. Conversation stopped when I walked past conference rooms. Not obviously, but you could feel it. Alarm at 8. Coffee at home. Arrived at 8:30 exactly. A morning stand-up started 10 minutes late because nobody had the agenda. People stood around awkwardly until someone improvised. Took 25 minutes for what used to take 12. Around 10, Eddie stopped by my desk. Eddie worked in infrastructure operations. Short guy. Always wore these obnoxious Hawaiian shirts. You break up with the company or something? He said. Just following my job description. Ah, malicious compliance. Classic. He glanced toward Michelle's office. She was in a meeting earlier. Looked stressed. Shame. At 10:30, I got pulled into a vendor call already on fire. Datacore Networks. 18 million contract. Torched in under 48 hours. The vendor management guy was stammering. The vendor wasn't buying it. Maintenance windows were locked for Q1, their director Victoria said. Now they're flexible? We've already committed resources. Silence. 5 people on the call. Nobody had an answer. I unmuted. March Amendment. Section 4.1. Link below. He looked relieved. Can you send that? Already accessible. Muted. Victoria sighed. Someone competent needs to call me in 2 hours. Otherwise my VP hears about this. She hung up. He messaged. Can you handle follow-up? Not my role. He spent 30 minutes searching for what I could have found in 45 seconds. By the time he called back, she'd escalated. Our VP got looped in. Heard he spent the afternoon in back-to-back leadership calls. Damage control mode. By lunch, chaos was spreading. Customer called about portal data. Ticket 4782. 3 queries and a calendar check. 5 minutes to fix. I watched it sit. Normal at 11:47. High at 12:23. Urgent at 1:08. Reassigned 3 times. Someone knew how to fix it. Just needed access to the change calendar. Access I had. Access they didn't. Perfect structure failure. Not my job. Didn't touch it. At 1, Michelle appeared at my cube, breathing hard like she'd walked fast. Her blazer was wrinkled. The polished corporate armor was cracking. This is spiraling, she said. I kept typing. Didn't look up. Chris. Sharper now. You know what I mean. I stopped. Turned to face her slow. I know how it used to work, I said. That was the problem. She stared like I was speaking a foreign language. We need you to step up. I am stepping up. Doing my actual job. The one you decided wasn't senior leadership material. Her face went red. This is about the promotion? Not really a question. An accusation. This is about doing what I'm responsible for. Nothing more. Nothing less. She leaned closer. Lowered her voice. Chris, I have 3 executive meetings today. The VP is asking questions. Data core escalated. Atlas Cloud is threatening delays. I need you functional. Functional. Like I was a machine that needed rebooting. Then the person you promoted should handle it, I said. Seems like exactly the type of challenge that requires strategic vision and executive presence. Her mouth opened, closed. You're being unreasonable, she tried. I'm being compliant. Following my job description exactly. That's what you wanted, right? Clear roles. Defined responsibilities. We can discuss this later, she said. Right now I need what? Free labor? That well's dry, Michelle. She turned, walked away fast. Not quite running. Her door closed hard. The afternoon got worse. A change approval presentation went to executives without risk analysis slides. Just raw change requests. Executives sent it back with 20 questions. An emergency change approval took 4 hours instead of 30 minutes. Database upgrade. Standard process. Except nobody knew which risk criteria to verify. Meeting went in circles. Should we approve? What's the blast radius? Someone from engineering finally spoke up. I can make the call technically, but I don't have approval authority. That was always Chris's decision. Silence. Everyone knew the right move. Nobody wanted to be the one holding the bag if it went wrong. They weren't helpless. They were uninsured. In a company that punishes the wrong decision harder than no decision, nobody wanted their name on the approval. I watched. I took notes. I didn't type a single thing into the chat. By 4, someone said in the break room, "Why does everything feel broken?" 2 people nodded. Something changed. I left at 5 sharp. Phone buzzing before I hit the parking lot. Ignored it all. The pattern continued into Thursday. At 9:30 Thursday morning, Michelle called an emergency meeting. Infrastructure leads only. I wasn't invited. 10 minutes in, someone messaged, "Can you explain how the emergency change approval workflow works?" Sent back a documentation link. Change Control Runbook version 3.2, section 7. The funny part was, I didn't withhold knowledge. I literally kept handing them the same runbook link. They just wanted me to be the runbook. 5 minutes later, Michelle was at my desk. People are blocked on multiple fronts. I didn't look up. Doc link below. That's the complete answer. Chris. She leaned on my desk. Aggressive. You know what I mean. I know what I'm responsible for. The rest isn't mine. That was your call. By midday, the customer situation exploded. Atlas Cloud called. Deployment tracking showed conflicting information. Change portal said Thursday. Engineering calendar said Friday. Their infrastructure director, Claire, was frustrated. We have critical production deployments depending on your maintenance window. And you don't know when it's scheduled? Silence. We've worked together almost 2 years now. This never happened before. What changed? More silence. I stayed muted. Didn't volunteer. Didn't save anyone. 20 seconds of silence on a customer call feels like a funeral. Someone finally said, "We'll get you an answer by end of day." Claire's voice went ice cold. You said that yesterday. I need answers now, not promises. If this isn't resolved by 3 p.m., I'm escalating to your executive team and ours. Call ended. Within 15 minutes, an email went to leadership with Claire's VP CCD. Subject: critical. Atlas Cloud account failure. Red alert. SLA impact mentioned twice. Contract review threatened. Revenue at risk flagged in bold. At 2, infrastructure flagged a missed deadline. Change success metrics. Monthly routine. Due first Thursday of every month. Nobody did it this month, because I always did it. Quietly. 6 a.m. before anyone arrived. Now it didn't get done. Infrastructure sent formal email to leadership at 2:14 p.m. Subject: urgent. Monthly change metrics overdue. Someone accidentally reply-alled, no current owner for change approvals after hours. Thread went silent. Dead silent. Because everyone realized it was discoverable. Written admission of structural failure. CC'd to leadership. Timestamped. Preserved. At 3, I got pulled into a call with Michelle and 2 directors I'd never met. One in a gray suit asked, who owns final approval on Atlas Cloud maintenance windows? Back and forth. Dancing around the obvious. Someone turned to me. Chris, explain how this worked before. I let the silence sit, then answered. It worked through informal coordination. I filled gaps between documented processes and actual execution. Dead quiet. What does that mean? Michelle asked. The process functioned because I absorbed structural gaps, made decisions that weren't mine, solved problems not assigned to anyone, coordinated between teams that don't communicate, all undocumented, all invisible, all unpaid. Nobody challenged it, because it was true. Meeting ended with no resolution. I left at 5 exactly. Thursday night, 9:12 p.m., my phone stayed face down on the kitchen counter. Somebody got tired of waiting for an approval that didn't have an owner, so they did what panicked teams always do, pushed it anyway and called it urgent. At 9:30, the company status page flipped to investigating. Someone pushed an emergency database change without a rollback plan. The kind of thing I would have caught in 30 seconds if anyone had bothered to ask. But they didn't. Because I wasn't on call. Because that wasn't actually my job. The incident response bridge spun up. Incident commander assigned, and suddenly the same people who ignored my role clarification email were screaming for an owner. 40 people in 5 minutes. The incident channel hit 200 messages in 11 minutes. By 9:45, someone was asking who approved the change. We assumed Chris would review it, someone finally admitted. Chris is off shift, another voice said. Has been since 5. By 10:05, it was a SEV1. Customer-facing impact. Payment processing timing out. Healthcare portal throwing errors. 3 enterprise customers asking, are SLA credits automatic or do we invoice? The incident lasted until 2:15 a.m. Rollback took 4 hours because nobody documented the dependencies correctly. First rollback attempt failed. That was my job. The job I used to do at midnight. For free. Friday morning. The office felt like a pressure cooker about to blow. People were moving fast but accomplishing nothing. Panic without direction. I showed up at 8:30. Michelle walked past my desk without making eye contact. She looked like she'd been up all night. She probably had been. Opened my email. 89 unread messages. Started with the ones addressed to me. Ignored the chaos. At 9, a meeting invite appeared. Subject: Emergency Operations Review. Attendees included people I'd never been in a room with. VPs, senior directors, people who only show up when things are escalating. Meeting started at 9:30. I joined. Camera off, muted. Questions flew fast. Why are change approvals bottlenecked? Who authorized this process change? What happened with last night's incident? Why is the customer threatening contract penalties? Then someone said, we assumed Chris was handling it. Someone else replied, he's not in that role. Heavy silence. A VP I'd never spoken to asked, Chris, what's your assessment? I unmuted. Structural failure. Responsibility was assigned without authority. That doesn't work. Meaning? Meaning you can't ask someone to own outcomes while blocking them from making decisions. More silence. Someone from HR spoke up. What would resolve this? Clear ownership, decision authority, compensation matching scope. All formal. All documented. The VP nodded. We'll follow up. Meeting ended. I went back to my work. 10 minutes later, my desk phone rang. Internal extension. Michelle. Chris, can you come to conference room C? Just for a minute. I checked my calendar. Nothing scheduled. For what? Please. Just 5 minutes. I walked over. Door was closed. Blinds drawn. Michelle was sitting at the table. Alone. No notebook, no laptop. Just her. Close the door, she said. I left it open. Stood in the doorway. She stood up. Came closer. Her voice dropped. Chris, I need your help. With what? The Atlas Cloud situation, the data core escalation, the metrics, all of it. She paused. I know things have been tense, but I'm asking you to help me fix this. I'm doing my job. That's what you promoted someone else to do. Chris, please. Her hands were shaking. She tried to hide it by gripping the chair. I'm drowning here. Leadership is asking questions I can't answer. Customers are threatening to leave. The VP is watching every move I make. Sounds rough. Don't do this. She stepped closer. You know how this works. You know what they expect. I just need you to handle things the way you used to. Just for a few weeks. Until this calms down. Until what calms down? The structural failure? The missing ownership? The fact that you built a system that only works when someone does unpaid overtime? Her jaw tightened. I made a mistake. With the promotion. I see that now. Cool. Fix it. I'm trying to. But I need time. And I need you to not let everything burn while I do. No. Chris, you made your choice. Live with it. You're being vindictive. I'm being clear. You want someone to fix your mess? Call the person you promoted. They've got the strategic vision and executive presence, right? Let them prove it. Her face went red. This is my career. Should have thought about that 22 months ago. I walked out. Didn't look back. Heard the conference room door slam behind me. At 11, Eddie stopped by. Conference room B's been packed for 2 hours. Michelle and the executives. At 11:15, my phone lit up. Unknown number, text message with a screenshot attached. It was an email. From Melissa. To Michelle. Subject. Concerned about Chris. Michelle, I'm reaching out because I'm worried about Chris's recent behavior. He's been acting unstable since the promotion decision. Making rash choices. Talking about stopping work and letting things fail. I'm concerned he might do something to sabotage operations or create problems. I thought you should know so you can address it before it escalates. He's not thinking rationally right now. Sent Wednesday, 3:42 p.m. I stared at the screen. Read it twice. Reputation warfare. She couldn't control the breakup, so she tried to control the narrative. Paint me as unstable. Sabotage my credibility. Make me the problem. The wording was perfect. No accusations, just concerns. The kind of message that doesn't need to be true, it just needs to exist. The text that came with the screenshot. Thought you should see this. A friend. Good to know some people saw through it. At 11:45, I got pulled into an HR meeting. HR director. Just her. Chris, someone contacted leadership with concerns about your fitness to perform your role. This is a standard check-in. Are you planning to disrupt operations in any way? I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshot, turned it toward her. She read it. Her expression went flat. Your ex-girlfriend sent this to your manager? Wednesday. Without telling me. After I dumped her for not having my back. She made a note. Are you planning to disrupt operations? No. I'm doing my job as described. That's it. Understood. We'll document this. She closed her notebook. Continue as you have been. Meeting lasted 4 minutes. By lunch, Atlas Cloud had escalated again. Paused all deployments pending resolution. That meant their production timeline frozen. That meant their leadership escalating to hours. At 1:30, I took a break. Opened my personal email. 3 recruiter messages from the past week. All data center operations. All director level or higher. Updated my resume with the past 22 months of actual work. Quantified the incident reduction, the process improvements. The resume looked stronger. I saved it. Closed the laptop. Didn't send it anywhere. Just wanted to know it existed. At 2, Michelle called me into her office. Closed the door. This is bigger than I expected, she said. She looked exhausted. It always was. She nodded. What do you suggest? Decide who owns the outcome. Give them the power to deliver it. I'll escalate this. I stood up. Let me know when there's a decision. That evening, the office was still chaos when I left at 5. People in conference rooms, on calls, stress-eating vending machine food. Someone was hunched over a laptop looking like they might cry. I walked past all of it. My phone rang at 6:20. Unknown number. I answered. Chris, this is Victoria from Datacore Networks. Hey, Victoria. Listen, I don't know what's going on over there, but Claire from Atlas Cloud called me today. She's frustrated. Said things have gotten messy on your end this week. Yeah, things have been interesting. Pause. Chris, I'm going to be straight with you. You're the only person over there who answers and follows through. The only one who closes the loop on anything. Whatever's happening, I hope it gets sorted. Because if this stays messy, my VP reopens renewal talks. She paused. And if you ever want out, I can introduce you to a couple hiring managers. Good companies. Solid teams who don't play games. I appreciate that. You've earned it. But seriously, if you need a reference, call me. She hung up. Major vendors were watching. Customers were watching. The industry was watching. I wasn't trying to break anything. I was done being the undocumented control system. Saturday morning, I got another email. Subject: Monday leadership meeting, 9 a.m. Required attendees: me, Michelle, 2 VPs, HR director, infrastructure director. I replied, confirmed. Then closed my laptop and enjoyed my weekend. Went for a run, meal prepped, watched a movie. Monday would be interesting. Monday morning. The conference room filled by 9. Michelle, 2 VPs, HR director, infrastructure guy. Everyone looked like they'd had a brutal weekend. The senior VP started. Let's cut to it. We need a path forward on Atlas Cloud, Data Core, and operational resilience. We're looking at single points of failure here. He turned to me. Chris, we've reviewed the situation. There's been structural misalignment. What would it take to stabilize? I leaned back. Let the question breathe. Formal authority over change control operations. Direct reporting line. No informal expectations. Compensation aligned with responsibility. Title change to Director of Change Control Operations. Everything in writing. Non-negotiable. The room went quiet. They were doing math. Cost of yes versus cost of no. Infrastructure guy spoke up. Timeline to stabilization? Immediate once authority is clear. Michelle cleared her throat. What about broader department structure? Depends. If you're asking if I'll keep absorbing work that isn't mine, no. If you're asking if I'll execute within a clearly defined scope, yes. The VP nodded. Fair. HR director jumped in. Title change and compensation adjustment takes time. Process requirements. But we could start with acting lead designation. It's actually a great development opportunity. I looked at her. Then nothing changes until it's done. She blinked. That's not standard. That's exactly how it works now. I'm not taking responsibility without authority. Not again. The VP cut in. We can fast-track this. Interim authority effective immediately. Title and comp processed in 30 days. Then I'm ready in 30 days. Michelle tried again. We need movement before then. The customer. I interrupted. Calm. The customer needs confidence. Confidence comes from structure. Structure takes time. Rushing it recreates the same problem. The VP held up a hand. He's right. We do this correctly. Someone from legal asked quietly. Is there any risk of exposure here? Wage classification issues? The room got tenser. Nobody answered. They spent 20 minutes drafting language. Role title, Director of Change Control Operations. Reporting, directly to VP of Infrastructure. Authority, full autonomy on change approval decisions. Compensation, $142,000 base, plus performance bonuses. When they read it back, I said, that works. One addition. They waited. This gets communicated clearly to everyone. No ambiguity, no assumptions about informal responsibilities. The VP agreed. Done. Meeting ended at 10:15. As people filed out, Michelle stayed back. This could have been handled differently, she said. Still couldn't admit she'd created this mess. Yeah, 22 months ago. She didn't respond. Started to leave, then stopped. Turned back. You know what? No. This is unacceptable. Her voice was rising. The careful corporate mask finally cracking. You sabotaged customer relationships. You let critical processes fail. You made me look incompetent in front of leadership. I stayed seated. Calm. I did my job. The one you said I wasn't qualified to be promoted for. Don't give me that. She was getting louder. Door still open. People walking past could hear. You deliberately let things fall apart. You knew what would happen and you did it anyway. I stopped doing unpaid labor. That's not sabotage. That's boundaries. Boundaries? She laughed. Sharp, bitter. You're not principled, Chris. You're petty. You're vindictive. You threw a tantrum because you didn't get what you wanted, and now you're acting like some kind of hero. The VP was still in the hallway. I saw him stop, turn around, start walking back toward the conference room. I followed my job description, I said, still calm. That's literally all I did. You know that's not how this works? Her voice kept rising. You don't get to just stop. You don't get to decide what's your job and what isn't. I decide that. Me. And if I tell you to handle something, you handle it. The VP appeared in the doorway, face completely neutral. She didn't notice. Kept going. You want to know why you didn't get promoted? Because of this. This attitude. You're replaceable, so don't get cocky. You think you're irreplaceable, but you're not. You're just someone who... Michelle. The VP's voice cut through. quiet, cold. She spun around, saw him standing there. Her face went white. He turned to the HR director who'd appeared behind him. Please escort Michelle to HR. We're placing her on administrative leave pending review. Wait, Michelle started. Now, he said. The HR director stepped forward. Michelle, let's go. Michelle looked between them, opened her mouth. Nothing came out. She walked out. The VP looked at me. Stay here. He left. Door closed. I sat there for 20 minutes. Checked my email. Nothing. The VP came back. Sat down across from me. Who owned after-hours change approvals for the past 22 months? I did. Informally. And who was supposed to own them? Nobody. That responsibility didn't exist in any job description. He nodded slowly. That's a structural failure. Leadership failure. He paused. You built the executive operations dashboard, created the change control framework, reduced incidents by 67%. That's director-level output with analyst-level authority. He stood up. Your role starts now. Report directly to me. We'll formalize everything by end of week. And Michelle? Administrative leave today. We'll handle the rest appropriately. That afternoon, an email went out. Michelle on leave. Interim reporting structure announced. My interim role effective immediately. By end of next week, another email. Michelle's employment terminated. Organizational restructure to follow. At will. Employment works both ways when executives feel personally embarrassed. And Chris? He paused. Document everything going forward. Everything. We're doing this by the book from now on. Already do. He almost smiled. I know. That's why you're sitting here and she's cleaning out her desk. He left. I sat there for another minute. Processed what just happened. Michelle lost it. Publicly. In front of executives. After a week of visible operational failure that she'd created by refusing to properly structure the team. She'd finally shown everyone what I'd been dealing with for 22 months. The condescension. The dismissiveness. The expectation of free labor wrapped in corporate politeness. And when that mask cracked, it shattered completely. I stood up, walked back to my desk. Eddie was there. Did Michelle just get walked out? Yep. Dang. He shook his head. Heard her losing it in the conference room. Sounded bad. Security escorted her. Whole thing was over in 10 minutes. Fast when they want it to be. Announcement went out by lunch. Clear, direct. Michelle's departure. My new role. Reporting structure. By 2, people were messaging me directly instead of through Michelle. By 4, a 3-day stalled decision got made in 12 minutes. The system was correcting itself. Things had settled into a new rhythm. The chaos was gone. The processes ran smoothly again because they were properly structured. Change approvals happened efficiently because authority was clear. Customers were happy. Vendors were happy. Everyone was making money. Then 6 months later, I got an email from HR. Subject: Compensation Review, Retroactive Adjustment. I opened it. Read it slowly. Back pay. 22 months. Not full director salary for the whole period, but a retroactive adjustment for the work I'd actually been doing. Not huge, but fair. HR included a note. Based on documentation review and role scope analysis, we've identified compensation misalignment during your tenure under previous management. This adjustment reflects work performed outside your assigned role. I accepted it. Didn't need to fight. The paper trail I'd kept made it easy for them to calculate exactly what I'd been doing versus what I was paid for. That evening, I left the office at 5:30. Walked to my car. My phone buzzed. Melissa. Different number. Blocked it without reading. Nothing she had to say mattered anymore. Drove home. Made dinner. Sat on my couch and thought about the last 6 months. The job wasn't hard. The lie was. I didn't break their system. I stopped being it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.